Here's part two. Welcome back to Sound the Siren. I'm Xavier.
I'm Dylan. Let's waste no time, Save. Part two, we'll resume where we left it off. And the next team that we have to rank is the Phoenix Suns.
Yes, finalists last year. We know they've got a big three now with DeAndre Ayton, who was massive in the playoffs. Devin Booker, we know how good he is, and Chris Paul, who had a real MVP candidacy last year. So I would put them contenders again this year.
Yeah, for sure. To the Trailblazers.
I think playoff locks. I don't think they're quite contenders. If they can find a way to get Ben Simmons without giving up CJ or Dame, they might be contenders, but I don't think that can happen. But yeah, I think Damian Lillard's just too good to not make the playoffs. So playoff locks for me.
They also signed Cody Zeller. They re-signed Norman Powell and Ben McLemore as well. And Larry Nance. Just remembered that. So playoff locks, was that, sorry?
Yeah.
Now, to the Kings, I'm not sure whether or not you've seen the highlights of Davion Mitchell, but he looks to be, or he has the potential to be a superstar.
Yeah, I would put them playoff hopefuls. De'Aaron Fox is really, really good. He's not quite as good as some of the players that would be the best on the other teams, but Marvin Bagley, they still have at the moment. They might trade him. They're another team in a great position to trade for Ben Simmons. And as you said, Davion Mitchell is really, really good, and his defense is looking incredible. So they're definitely a chance to make the playoffs, but I would guess that they don't.
And a little unlucky for Rashawn Holmes. He did not make the top 100 on the ESPN list, which I thought was a little, not outrageous, but he deserves some credibility. He was putting up great numbers, almost a double-double in the last season, so hopefully he continues that form. To the Knicks, plenty of off-season adjustments, trades, signings, and they are moving up the ranks.
Yeah, for the first time in a long time, I think we're probably both going to agree that they're playoff locks.
Yeah.
They didn't win a playoff series last year, but I think they were a top 4 seed. They lost to the Hawks, who made it to the conference finals. But that was a really good series nonetheless, and they were competitive in it. Julius Randle took massive steps last year. Derrick Rose, they re-signed, and he's going to be really good for them. They brought in Kemba, who's going to be really good for them as well, hopefully. So I think they're playoff locks.
Evan Fournier as well, who will play at the 2. And they brought back Taj Gibson, that's just the hustling body you need as a backup center even. Obviously, Nerlens Noel and Mitchell Robinson will play there. But whether or not he plays at the 4 on the bench, who knows? But they can go very far. To the Pelicans now, I think this is an underestimated lineup, to be honest. They have Devontae Graham, they have Jonas Valanciunas, they have Zion, they have Josh Hart, and they also have Ingram.
I would say playoff hopefuls. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if they do make it, but I don't really want to put them in playoff locks, given that they didn't make it last year when many of us predicted that they would. And I'm not sure that they did get better. Obviously, we just talked about in part 1, Valanciunas versus Steven Adams, and we both agreed that Valanciunas is an upgrade. But they did lose Lonzo Ball, who I think I'm a massive fan of, but I do think he's really, really good, and I think he had a lot of upside. The second half of his year last year was really good. So I would put them playoff hopefuls. They're a chance there to make it.
And another team that has made some progressive steps, the Hornets, Kelly Oubre, Mason Plumlee, and then the talent of Miles Bridges, LaMelo Ball, it goes on. But obviously losing Devontae Graham, it probably won't affect them as much as you think. They still have Terry Rozier for that point guard / shooting guard role with LaMelo Ball. So definitely, I'd say high up on the playoff hopefuls, but nearing a lock.
Yeah, I agree. I would put them playoff hopefuls as well. Yeah. Because they're in the East, they're probably going to make it. And as you said, I don't think that the Devontae Graham trade will hurt them that much. We know because last year, like even towards the start of the year, LaMelo Ball was coming off the bench because they were starting Rozier and Devontae Graham. All that's going to happen now is Melo and Rozier are going to get more minutes, and they're going to find other pieces to play more minutes. So I think they're a really talented team. I don't think they're quite as good as any of the ones we have above them, but they're definitely really solid.
Now, I think this is a year where all Rockets fans should just embrace. They have Jalen Green, not a dark horse for the Rookie of the Year, but probably the second favourite after Cade Cunningham. They also have Daniel Tice, but it's exciting when you have Kevin Porter Jr. and Jalen Green as the 1-2. So they'll still be probably bottom of the barrel, but I think they'll have more wins than people expect.
Yeah, I think they have to be bottom of the barrel. They're so young. They traded off so many players, but they'll get Christian Wood back from injury. We're not sure what they'll do with John Wall, but he's probably one of their better players at the moment. So it's definitely an interesting one, but I can't see them getting that many wins at all. And they're definitely bottom of the barrel, in my opinion.
Now, I have been hiding a little bit of excitement because Miami, I'm not a part of the team, but they have signed Kyle Lowry, Markieff Morris, and PJ Tucker, who I was not expecting. And I'm not going to be biased, so I will ask you, are we enough for contenders or top or middle of the playoff lock?
I put you as playoff locks last year after you made the finals. I think you had them as contenders, but this year, I don't know if it's going to switch, but I've definitely got them as contenders this year. I think they got better. And the three players that you mentioned, I think, fit what Miami do and what Jimmy Butler does to a T. You know, Marcus Morris, he's one of those hustle guys and he gives his all night in, night out. Same goes for PJ Tucker. He's probably the number one guy you think of when you say hustle. And Kyle Lowry is a veteran that's played defense all of his career. So I definitely think they're contenders this year and I definitely think they got better.
And just the chemistry of the Miami team is always something that we like to focus on, but Kyle Lowry fits in like a glove. We know there's been comments of Tyler Hero, who was underwhelming last year. He was still more efficient, but now off the bench, I'd say he has more confidence to take shots, to make big plays, where he doesn't have the big players like Jimmy, Kyle Lowry, or Bam on the starters. So time for a Tyler Hero, not eruption, but maybe a most improved season. And I'm hoping the Heat can go far, but we'll see. Another vastly improved team, the Chicago Bulls.
I think the Bulls are playoff locks. I know Darcy and one of the regulars on this YouTube channel, he wasn't a big rap for the Bulls, but their additions, they only had Vucevic for half the year last year, but they bring in DeRozan, who we know was an all-star caliber player last year and has been all of his career. Lonzo Ball, who I think is very, very good. I just talked about him with the Pelicans, but I think he's a great addition. They're going to have Kobe White come off the bench. He doesn't have to play necessarily the traditional point guard role now, but can look to score more often. Zach LaVine was just an all-star. They've got some really good other pieces as well. So I think they're definitely playoff locks. I think they're similar to the Hawks last year. Like everyone had them as the playoff locks. We didn't quite see them going as far as they did, but pretty much their whole team is completely new. They traded out so many players, Larry Markin and so many others, and they brought in pretty well a completely new team. So I think that's a very good comparison for them, and I hope they do well because I do love Lonzo.
Yeah, no, I do agree with that. Playoff locks for sure. Probably one of the more exciting teams as well, just to watch, because you can have a team with star power, but they may not be the most entertaining. I'd say the Bulls fit into that category. Now, I don't think I need to say much more favourites.
Yeah, this is an obvious one. We know if their big three was all healthy last year, in the second round, Kyrie Irving missed 4 games, James Harden missed 4 games. If they were healthy, they'd probably beat the eventual champions in the Bucks. We know they had a lead, they lost it unfortunately, and they probably would have gone ahead and won the championship. So I think they're definitely favourites. They brought in more good pieces as well. They brought Marcus Aldridge back from retirement. They've got other pieces, so they're going to be really, really good this year, and they're probably my number one to win it.
Yep, they're heading in an unerring sense of direction. They also added Paddy Mills, which is close to our hearts as Australians. Hopefully, he can play some big bench minutes and prove to America that he is not only Olympic Paddy, but NBA Paddy. To the Thunder now.
I think they're bottom of the barrel as well.
Really?
They do have some good pieces. Shea is obviously one of my favourite players and is really, really good. They got rid of Al Horford's contract. They traded him to the Celtics, which is coming up. But I don't think they're really that deep or that talented. So I think they're bottom of the barrel for me.
Okay, yeah. Don't forget there wasn't a healthy Shea last year, and they probably exceeded expectations.
I don't really think they can push to the playoffs.
Yeah, I'll revise my decision. Bottom of the barrel. Now, another exciting team, Golden State. What can you not say about Steph and Clay? They are just entertainment personified.
I'm gonna put them contenders, but
Yeah.
I think that they might be playoff locks. It depends on how good Klay Thompson is. Like, I think everyone needs to like rein in their expectations a little bit. Everyone obviously has them as contenders, and they think Klay Thompson's going to bounce back to exactly who he was before. But I'm not sure that that's possible. Like, he's missed 2 years. He's had an ACL injury and I think an Achilles injury. I'm not
Yeah.
so sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they're two of the most serious injuries that anyone can have, and most people don't come back at all. But I think Klay Thompson has a pretty good skill set to fit that, especially offensively. He just stands in the corner and shoots 40-50% from three. So that's definitely going to be good for them. I'm not sure how his defense will react, though. We know he made an all defensive team the year before he did get hurt. So it'll be interesting. If he comes back and he is the Klay that we all know and love, then I think they're contenders, if not playoff locks.
You know how I love my underrated pickups, and I'll list you a few. Moses Moody, Jonathan Kuminga, that's from the draft. And then in free agency, Andre Iguodala, Otto Porter Jr., Chris Chiozza, who played for the Nets. He didn't receive a lot of attention, but he's still crafty and nonetheless a good player. And Avery Bradley in the last few days.
Yeah, a few of them. I think Kuminga is coming out of the draft, and I think he looks really, really good. Um, and then Otto Porter is going to be a good fit for them. Iggy, as you said, great defender. Avery Bradley is a player that I really like. He was on my Lakers championship team. He didn't get to play because his son had something that made him more susceptible to COVID or something like along those lines. But he was really good that year. He defended. He hit the three pretty well. So I think he'll be a good fit for them as well. And I don't think they lost that much outside of Kelly Oubre, who went to the Hornets. We forgot to mention him, but he'll be really good for them as well.
Another team that is difficult to assess, in my opinion, is the Celtics. They lost plenty of players, but they also gained plenty of players. Dennis Schroeder on the non-lucrative contract after he lost 84 million with the Lakers, but then they also lost the likes of Kemba Walker. So I really don't know how to determine this team. I'm going to say playoff locks.
Yeah, I would agree. I think they're playoff locks.
Okay.
Picked up Schroeder, who, as you said, missed out on a lot of money, but now I think he's on a really team-friendly deal. Like, I'm surprised he didn't get at least 10 million somewhere else, but he's on about 5 million for the Celtics. So I think that's really going to help them. And I think he's a pretty good replacement for Kemba, to be honest.
Yeah.
And then they've lost. They also added Josh Richardson, who I think can add defense on the wing to go along with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, who are two absolute superstars and were both All-Stars last year. So playoff locks for me.
And Enes Kant is on that cycle again. He's returning to the Celtics too.
Yeah, the Celtics and Trailblazers cycle, yeah.
And the Knicks as well. Now, your team's favourites for sure. They just keep getting better and better and better.
I think we're favourites as well. I put us behind the Brooklyn Nets. I'm still a little bit worried about our floor spacing. We picked up a lot of people that shot around 40% from the three, but none of them are really volume shooters like Kevin Durant and James Harden. Obviously, they're not they're superstars, and the ones we picked up aren't superstars. But we're going to play Westbrook, LeBron James, and AD on the court pretty much all the time. And then the fourth one we're going to add is probably Dwight Howard, and then the second one really needs to be an elite shooter because none of those three are great shooters, or none of those four, are great shooters, let alone good ones. So the fifth starter is gonna have to be a really elite one, and then I think in the closing time we're gonna put AD at the 5 to stretch it a bit more and put another shooter in at the 2 or the 3. But I think the Nets are just so good. They're so offensively gifted. And they have Nick Claxton, who I think will improve a lot as well, and hopefully he can man it down at the 5 for them.
Not sure whether or not you saw the lineup, but it was Westbrook, Allington, LeBron, Ariza, AD.
Yeah, I think was that the starting lineup? Who said that?
Yeah.
Who said that?
It was on a post. I'm not 100% sure. I'll check it for you in a second.
Yeah, I think that will definitely be our closing lineup. I'm not sure if it will be our starting lineup because we know AD has said over and over that he doesn't really like playing the 5 and banging with the big bodies. But I think he'll play more of it this year. I'm not sure that he'll start, but I think that's definitely going to be our best team. either that or putting Malik Monk in instead of Trevor Ariza, which I would personally do. But I think we're really deep. Kendrick Nunn, you probably know more about him than I do, having him come from the Heat. Melo, we've got like 8 future Hall of Famers, so we're really, really deep. But I'm still a little bit worried about our floor spacing.
Yeah, for sure. I like the signing of Malik Monk. I think that's probably the most underrated because not only can he shoot, he always destroys Miami, but he can dunk the ball very, very strongly. Final team is the Orlando Magic. Probably an underwhelming end to what has been a great video. I think it's probably bottom of the barrel for the Magic, but a lot of upside. Jalen Suggs, Cole Anthony, the 1-2 punch, they will improve in years to come. So I wouldn't stress Orlando fans. There is plenty of room for improvement, and in the coming years, you will move up.
Yeah, I think they're definitely bottom of the barrel. They lost Vucevic last year, who's been their best player for probably the last 4 or 5 years. But they're just really, really, really young and inexperienced. Hopefully they get Marco Fultz back from his ACL injury and he can be really good for them. Hopefully, please, he gets a good run at it with as far as injuries are concerned, because I think he's still really, really talented and could still be good. So, yeah, but as I said, they're just so young and inexperienced. I can't see them pushing up to the playoffs.
So that does it for part 1 and part 2. I just had one final question. With the Brooklyn Nets, Kyrie Irving, his situation is difficult to look at because he may miss half the season and then other games that are in different states where you cannot play if you're not vaccinated. Similar to Wiggins too.
Yeah, the same goes for Wiggins. So, if you don't know, the rule is that in the states of New York and in San Francisco as well, which is in California, obviously, you're not allowed to play home games or even attend the training facility or restaurants or anything in that state. So if you're unvaccinated, obviously, and Kyrie Irving and Andrew Wiggins aren't vaccinated, and they won't be able to play 40, 50% or 40, 50% of the games, which are obviously their home ones. And then come playoff time, they won't be able to play every second game. So, I mean, if that's the rule that happens and they can't play and they don't get vaccinated, then I don't think it's going to be massive for both of the teams. I think both would have to be traded, in my opinion. And I don't think the Nets can even win the championship if Kyrie Irving doesn't get vaccinated or they don't change the rules. I know Isaiah Thomas a few weeks ago even tweeted out something about the Nets can't win without Kyrie Irving, and Kevin Durant responded with facts on his real account, not one of his burners. So, if he doesn't get it, I don't think they can win, and it's just such a massive cost. The NBA has, I think yesterday, said the players won't get paid if they don't get vaccinated and hence don't play. But it's just such a massive loss to have someone that good not play literally every second game. And I'm not trying to have a go at him. I'm vaccinated, but I don't really care if you're not vaccinated or if you are. But it's something like in the NBA when you're playing and you have to be vaccinated to play. It's something like it literally relies on him getting vaccinated for them to succeed this year. And it depends on what he does, but it's obviously going to be massive.
Hey, it'd be advantageous for Patty Mills though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely. In particular in the regular season when he's starting. Yeah, I mean, I still think he's going to find a way to play, whether he gets vaccinated or they manage to come up with some sort of exemption for him. But it's going to be a massive loss if that doesn't happen.
Opening night, 18 days. We're all eager to see how the season plays out. But that does it for this episode. Make sure to check out all our socials in the description at sts.podcast. That's our Instagram account. We hope you liked and enjoyed it. Make sure to let us know in the comments below who you think will win the elusive NBA championship. And we will see you next time.